Oh, learning Garo for City. It's not like it's a hard game to pick up, really. It's not really. I don't know. SNK games are weird because they have this image of being like hard to play, but they've never really been that way. It's I don't know where, like, I guess it's KOF 13's fault or whatever. But even that game, you could definitely, it's weird. I don't know where that like stigma came from. I have that impression. Link, it's literally crouch B, quarter circle B. Can you do low quarter circle fireball? You can play KOF game. You can play SNK games. Yeah, Aquaberry, but when you sit down and pick up the game, you don't have to do just defend guard cancels. That's what I'm saying. It's like, imagine if when you sit down and pick up the game in whatever other game, like Marvel 3 or something like that, and you're saying when you sit down and play for the first time, you have to do, yeah, like a TAC Infinite or something like that. Yeah, electrics and it's like some shit like that, you know? Same thing. You don't judge the rest of the game's floor based on that ceiling, you know? Yeah, even 13 was not hard. It's just the optimal shit with meter and the way it worked in that game. Because of the freedom that it offers, that's why it became that way. But that's a benefit of the system. Man, if I had constant access to Adderall and gummies, you have to understand, I would be like Lex Luthor. Like I would just like dominate planet Earth. KOF mini hops? Even that's just like, that's a small executional thing, but, well, I say small, you know what I mean? It's a big deal. But I think that's just something that comes with time too. But I feel like doing short hops is, because you're hopping, getting the jump you want more consistently, I feel like is a bigger deal than, is harder? Harder? Can I say harder? I feel like that's harder, a bigger deal than what some people think, you know, is the hard shit, is what I'm trying to say. That mission sucked. That took mad long. Yeah, Link, that's what I'm saying. It's my whole thing is when people are like, because I bet people do it with Tekken, they do it with some other games. Like Tekken players say this a lot. They'll be like, "Oh, I can't play that." Rafe has said something at last year at Gamers 8 that I was like, "What are you like, huh?" like that. He was like, "I can't really play other fighting games because they're too fast, and I don't know what's going on." And I'm like, "You play like what? You play Tekken? What are you talking about?" He said something like that in an interview, and I had a physical reaction. I was like, "What are you talking about?" But that's not even like that rare to hear, you know? Or vice versa. You'll hear people like, "Yeah, I play Street Fighter, but, you know, I don't really mess with the 3D games." It's like, it's like not that obtuse of a concept, you know? Doger is actually pretty good at Tekken. And then, technically, Nuki isn't Nuki a SBO champion in Virtua Fighter too? He's won a Virtua Fighter SBO, if I'm not mistaken. Fudo, a lot of the, Fudo and Itazan, they all come from Virtua Fighter. Pekos, do you know Pekos, the Tekken player? He plays everything, actually. And he's pretty good at most shit he picks up. He picks up, mad shit. Tokido, same thing. Kazunoko low-key plays Tekken too, actually. Now that you say, I'm trying to think. There's definitely some others. Jimmy J, yeah, I mean, Mr. Navs. It's easy. That's an easy one, though. There's definitely some others I'm forgetting, but it's not. Oh, you know Rao, the third strike Chun? He mashes in Tekken too. I wouldn't, he's not like top tier, but he's pretty good. Yeah, it's not as uncommon as you think. Hell, Lil Majin's pretty. He had a raw ass chip, and he didn't play Xrd as much, but he played XX a lot. I don't remember what got me thinking about this, but it's a sentiment that I've felt for a while now, but I think it's really gotten visibly like this recently. Is as the scene has gotten more and more like separate and online and like communities are more like kind of like separated and kind of like, you know, shit's more spread out and nebulous. You know what I mean? Sub communities have become more insular. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And the result is too, if you notice, there's a lot more events that. How can I say this politely? So you know how you go to CEO or Combo or Evo and like you can play anything there, really. There's a lot more events that are just like 1 or 2 games, which is not necessarily a bad thing if it has the attention to detail and like TLC, right? If you get like that feeling compartmentalized, yeah, you get what I'm saying. It's definitely a side effect of like everything being more online too. Death of BYOC at the local and regional level. Yeah. So you're saying like strong style, right? That's a Tekken exclusive event. You went there, you knew what you were getting into, but it had like an environment, a certain feeling that, you know, like, yeah, this is a Tekken event, but like it's a tight Tekken event, you know? Or even like Climax, where to a degree it's like, if you just want to play like French bread games, those are there, but they got some side games too or whatever. But it's focused on that one game, you know? And that's cool because if you're a community that maybe has gone to events and feels like you felt like maybe you didn't get your just dues or something like that, there's kind of that event to like serve that community, that specific scene, right? I think there's a lot of events now when I look at the calendar where they only really service 2 or 3 games, but they don't have that same level of care, fidelity for a specific community. You know what I mean? So, for example, like a lot of European tournaments, when I'm like looking at the signups and shit, I'm like, it really is just Tekken, Street Fighter, and DBFZ. And like, that's it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like, again, my experience at EVO recently, I was like, man, Sunday, I was just hanging out and just play games the whole day. And that was sick. That kind of BYOC or being able to just play like whatever shit, that's not a thing in a lot of cases. And I think like, I can't help but feel maybe like that compartmentalization element plays a role in that too. It's also probably like a resource issue. If it's just gonna be like 20 or 30 people for this one game, you can't really like commit too much to that. Probably like events are more expensive now too, so you have to be like really careful, I guess, at the mid level if you're gonna like commit to doing. Am I like? Do you get what I'm saying? Or am I? Do I sound stupid? I noticed it especially like in Europe. A lot of like European events or some events that I've seen recently. Like, BAM was cool because they had everything, you know? Like, but I'm saying, like, that kind of event feels at the mid-range, fewer and further between, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. Like, BAM is cool because they had one room. It's funny not thinking about it out loud. They had one room that had Beyblade, Rivals of Ether, and Multiverse and shit, and Smash Brothers. They put all the motherfuckers in one room. That shit was funny. Like, damn, they put the Smash Brothers players with the Beybladers and shit. They actually had a Beyblade tournament, too. Yeah. BAM was cool, though. I thought BAM was tight. I don't think it's about clout necessarily either, though, Kenny. I don't know. I think it's, for some of those events, right? You kind of need somebody to, like, step up and be a rep or something like that. But I feel like because the scenes are so micro compartmentalized and shit now, that's probably not as easy to get. And I say that because I talked to Johnny-O about this. This happened in Japan. Like, I was talking with Johnny-O about this like years ago. Because, okay. So you know how you know that's a thing? I'll tell you how. When you look at the calendar of events, there is so much shit that overlaps. Like, negative nuance. Like, this qualifier for this event is on the same weekend as this tournament, that's on the same weekend as this tournament, it's on the same weekend as this tournament, and they'll all be, like, sometimes they'll all even be somewhere in the same region. But when you see the event calendar clutter, you know what I mean? When you have, like, that much shit, like, this is the MK, this is the Mortal Kombat qualifier on the same weekend as this, like, TWT qualifier in this place, as the same weekend as this CBT thing in this place. When you see that happening, that to me is like, damn, this shit really is just like separate as fuck now. That's what originally got me to think about that. Because what I guess I was talking to Jonio about it years ago. I realized it was already it was already happening in Japan like 6-7 years ago. You'd see one weekend where it's like Co-op Cup weekend, right? Or even better, it used to be KSB weekend and Golden Week. And I'm like, KSB is kind of the event where all these games kind of run shit together. Why is this one arcade trying to run this like national event on the other side of the country? Why don't they just do it at KSB? And I couldn't understand. And he's like, basically, Johnny was like, this isn't like it was 10 years ago. These motherfuckers don't talk to each other. You know? Like, even though this person's running shit here for this game, this person's running shit here for this game, they don't necessarily be talking to each other like that. That's what I'm saying. And I think part of it is like communities are more online and people are more spread out and separate now, to where like there's not even like open communication or like collaboration as often like that, as much as it used to be. No, Wezzy, it went over your head. It wasn't like that before. That's what I'm saying. Before, okay, so like for example, in Japan, I would say SBO, right? All the scenes culminate in one event at SBO. SBO doesn't happen after 2012 or whatever, and you could visually see that, because again, for each game, for the scene here, there's still a desire to run a one big once a year national event, right? So it's like, if the event that brought them all together isn't there, there's still that desire to do that event, but now there's no like collaboration with it or like sitting at the same table. It's like, it's a microcosm thing, and you could visually observe it on the calendar is what I'm saying. It's not like it was my imagination or anything. It's like, it's something you could observe. Bro, this thing is fucking me up. How do you fight this thing? He's so tanky too. He has so much health. Oh, never mind, bro. You got washed. Was I just not hitting him before? What the fuck? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can see it happening on social media and shit like that now too. It's definitely a thing. It's hard to explain. I probably sound old talking about it, but it's weird.